Say James, Daily Freak Show. Wow!
Freak Show, Freak Show.
Rebel, put on your dress. Rebel.
James, Daily Freak Show. I'm standing here with
Thairin Smothers.
and we are at the
One Archive Gallery and Museum in West Hollywood.
and we're going to go see Greer Lankton, who was a seminal artist in the 1980s and 90s. She was one of a good friend and mentor of yours.
Yeah, she's one of the first true artists I ever met.
Got your mother in the world. She's not sure if you're a boy or a girl. Hey, babe, your hair's alright. Hey, babe, let's go out tonight.
Kenny, what do you remember the first time you met Greer?
I actually don't remember the first time I met Greer, but I do remember looking at her windows a lot.
On Einstein's was on what, like 7th between A and B?
First.
Between 2nd and 1st on 7th?
On 7th, yes.
And I
The south side of the street.
she had a real glamour about her that I think both her and Terry Toy, just sort of like the transsexual glamour. It felt.
You know, models back then were cool to be flat, so it was perfect.
Do people feel the same way about, like, say, Amanda Lepore, do you think?
Well, Amanda Lepore is different. She's like kind of sculpted herself into this thing, and I think Terry was just
Terry, and she,
born that way.
is there anyone comparable to, like, that sort of subversive?
Now, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Can't think of anybody.
So this is the first West Coast exhibit of Greer's stuff, am I right?
Correct.
You remember some of Greer's stuff at Einstein's in East Village.
Right. I had moved to New York in '86 and then just wandering, around the East Village, stumbling past Einstein's, and it was closed at the time, but there were these amazing dolls in the window, and it just sort of stopped you in your tracks, and like you were transfixed by them because there was something sexy about them and yet something a little
Creepy. Because some of the ones that I totally remember from the window, I remember the Peggy Moffat, I remember the Diana Vreeland. I think Diana was out there a couple times. And then over here we have Diana actually gave Greer some of her ivory bracelets, which is really fabulous. And then we have Mrs. Reed, which I'm assuming is Annette Reed's mother, who is now Annette de la Renta. And I'm standing here with Miss TJ Mozzarella. Are you still TJ Mozzarella?
No.
You're Van.
Yeah.
But I know you as TJ.
Yeah, the transformation, mini transformation.
That was a whole other lifetime ago. Now, so you were friends with Greer.
Yeah, in her last years, both Thairin and I were friends with Greer, knowing her from Chicago.
Oh, right.
After her New York years.
Okay, and so this would have been what, like 93, 91?
93-ish. Like we all went to her biennial opening together.
The Whitney? Yeah, right, okay. I was just talking with Kenny about like the glamour, the sort of subversive glamour that she had for me in the 80s when I would see her and I would see like Nan Golden and a lot of those people in Terry Toy.
It's like Nan was really documenting more in my perspective, and Greer was communicating. Greer, so much of her work, it does have a gothic, like a sadness, a deep, complex element to it, and it's very glamorous in a rock and roll way.
It's like outsider glamour. It's like an outsider, like...
It's kind of drug glamour.
Yeah.
And I just think that we see all of this work, but what would her work look like today? Would it be happy? Where so much of this work has a sadness to it.
I think about that so much with like people like Lee Bowery, like where would Lee's look be 20 years later? Like what did we lose by that whole generation of people that we lost? So many artists,
That's kind of how we feel cheated in a way, And not all of her work was sad, but I mean, it's not necessarily healthy. If she showed, weight, it was always done beyond Rubenesque. It was done like almost in a Lucian Freud way. It was obese, it was gluttonous. And the majority of her figures were all so thin and frail, emaciated, which was really, completely in line with her idea of beauty. You can never be too thin in her world, So breakfast was throwing up again. God bless her.
Well, this is her obituary page right here from the New York Times.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's amazing.
And
Here.
that was the one that Nan wrote.
And then there's a doll guy in Chicago, Joey something.
Jojo Baby.
Jojo Baby.
And Jojo Baby, well, he was really one of the closest people in Greer's life the last couple of years.
She sort of mentored him in the art of doll
Definitely
maker.
apprentice in art and life in a way, I think. And her last days, are most well talked about from JoJo.
I wanted to know, for the people who don't really know about Greer Lankton, can you sort of like sum her up in just sort of a snappy little soundbite? Can you tell me what she was about and what her legacy is?
Well, she was complex. She was humorous.
First of all, we should say that she was a transsexual artist, doll maker.
I think that's where you go wrong.
You do? Okay.
She was first and foremost an artist, and I think one of the other things about her is she was a transsexual.
Well, you don't think that influenced the sort of the whole...
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
the whole aesthetic is...
But did she communicate as a transsexual or just as a feminine being? Her parents, from my understanding and knowing Greer, thought that it was better for her to not, instead of living as a gay male, and how that would look probably on them, they wanted her to live as a woman, and so that would mean a sex change.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you think that maybe she would have been a gay man had the times been
It's
different?
definitely, yeah. We did a talk show together. It was on Jerry Springer, where she commented on that, and her response was she would have much rather have lived as a gay man. Like, looking back, it would have worked better for her relationship-wise.
That's an enormous thing in your psyche, don't you think?
Well, maybe it really wasn't gay man, and really, I think we're using the wrong terminology. I think she needed to live as a non-operative transsexual, because there's no question her as a transgender, but I think she didn't need a post-operative sex change.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Another thing that influences her very much, you can see in all this, to me, I am taken right back to 1984 East Village. There's a whole feeling of that vibe, that downtown vibe.
Oh, absolutely.
And whether she was the one who it was influencing the East Village or the East Village was influencing her, I don't.
Well, it's a collective. I think she just brought to the table her individuality, kind of like on Club Kid scenes and everyone else. They just all brought their own individuality, but you can't think 80s East Village without including Greer Lankton in the top 10.
Exactly. So that was pretty fabulous, wasn't it?
I think so.
It was sort of a special moment for you?
Yeah, I think it'll be a special moment even for people who didn't know her.
It's so crazy that she was doing a lot of stuff 30, 35 years ago that people are doing now.
Did you learn anything new?
I think talking to you was some of my favorite part of the
Really?
Yeah, that was very nice.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, oh my God, James, oh!
Bye.